And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you all for joining us. And we start with Rudy Giuliani on This Week. Of course, the critics are panning Giuliani, but Giuliani just talking like the people.
We can assert the same privileges other presidents have. President Clinton negotiated a deal in which he didn't admit the effectiveness of the subpoena.
But he did testify. But he did testify before the grand jury. Is the president willing to do that?
But only for 2.5 hours, only with an arranged format. Would we be willing to do that? I'd rather have the Hillary Clinton treatment.
I think President Clinton was before.
But I would rather have the Hillary Clinton.
More than 2.5 hours.
No, he was 2.5 hours.
By the way, I love Rudy Giuliani. People are smacking his performance on This Week. And really what it comes down to, folks, and I know this is pretty heady for 6:06 on a Monday morning, but we might as well hit it running. Look, this is how things happen. Giuliani calls this a nuisance suits now, and he points this out. He was on This Week with George Stephanopoulos. And it's funny because Stephanopoulos, of course, was the wingman of Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky. In fact, it has been reported that George Stephanopoulos and Jake Tapper did go out with Monica Lewinsky. In fact, Jake Tapper, as an unknown writer for the Washington Weekly, wrote an article about his date with Monica Lewinsky. We know that. We interviewed him when he was an unknown Jake Tapper back in the day. Far less serious than he is now, the CNN star, formerly of Slate Magazine and ABC. But so Rudy's on, and they're going back and forth. And I love how, well, Trump lied, Obama lied. You know, and people say, well, the evangelicals are bad people because they're letting Trump get away with it. No, they're not. It's just that I think people are tired of the selective double standard from the libs. When's the last time George Stephanopoulos went this hard on Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders?
Hours in the grand jury. Maybe 3. We'll take 3. But Hillary Clinton treatment is what I'm looking for. And that is no under oath, only a Q&A, and then we get the questions in advance, and they write the report 2 weeks before.
Well, he has briefed you on the topics he wants to discuss. Are you confident the president will not take the fifth in this case?
Oh, how can I ever be confident of that? When I'm facing a situation with the president and all the other lawyers are, in which every lawyer in America thinks he'd be a fool to testify, I've got a client who wants to testify. Please don't. He said it yesterday, and Jay and I said to ourselves, "My goodness, I hope we get a chance to tell him the risks that he's taking, so he may testify, and we may actually work things out with Bob Mueller because working with him directly is good, but." If they keep undermining it, and we have situations like Judge Ellis saying that they're out of control and they're not authorized, and they refuse to give the judge their authorization.
That's right. And of course, we had over the weekend 2 big things. One of them you heard with Sean Hannity on Friday afternoon was that the judge says, look, you're not trying to get Paul Manafort. You're trying to take down a president. Have you burned through your $10 million? It's done. Now, whether or not he continues on with Manafort or not, who knows? Now, Giuliani's decision to go on This Week has been panned, but Giuliani basically telling it like it is. First, as you just heard, let's get the Hillary Clinton treatment. Let's get the Hillary treatment. And then talking about Mueller and Comey.
I know, and if he tells the truth as you would advise him to do, what is the danger in answering Robert Mueller's
Because they're
questions?
trying to trap. You couldn't put a lawyer on the show who wants to keep his law license to tell you he should testify.
But it's only a trap
situation.
Tell the truth.
No, it isn't. It's only prosecutable if they have some built-up, manipulated evidence to prove the president didn't tell the truth.
Well,
how often has that happened?
If you have evidence that proves he doesn't tell the truth, then the president didn't tell the truth.
No.
This is like some Saturday Night Live bit that has gone on too far. By the way, you're listening to Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Our phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Believe it or not, coming up next, there is some plutonium missing in the city of Boise. That's right, plutonium missing in the city of Boise. But first, let's get back to Rudy Giuliani saying, is Robert Mueller really trying to get to justice, or is he trying to get the president?
People do things like lie. People lie. Could Comey be lying? You're damn right he could be lying, George. And we're going to walk ourselves into a trap like that?
Yeah,
I couldn't.
If Mr. Comey lied to the special counsel, then he's the one who's vulnerable to perjury. If the president tells the truth, he's not.
And the special counsel has to be open to believing that. The special counsel, so far, Steve.
You know, by the way, it's funny. I'm thankful that you guys have lives. You guys have things to do. My Sunday mornings are I go to church, I come home, I get up early, I watch the shows, I go to church, I come home, I watch the shows some more, then I get fatigued, I take a nap, then I go back to church. A lot of politics and prayer on Sunday morning. But they spent, I think it was 15, 16 minutes on Stormy Daniels on this thing. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I do want you to, Stormy Daniels, by the way, they're calling her by her legal name, and I guess that's some type of credibility thing they're trying to give to her. And she was on Saturday Night Live. Remember, this is the aggrieved adult entertainer that is on Saturday Night Live, right?
Seems to think that Comey is Moses, and I happen to think Comey is Judas.
But you believe the president is telling the truth.
Now, hold on. We've got to repeat that one more time. The media says Comey is...
But you believe the president...
The media says that Comey is Moses, and Giuliani calls him Judas.
Is Moses, and I happen to think Comey is Judas.
But you believe the president is telling the truth. If you believe that, if you have that conviction, you're his attorney. Why don't you say, go in, talk to Robert Mueller, tell the truth?
Because I wouldn't be an attorney if I did that, George. I'd be living in some kind of unreal fantasy world that everybody tells the truth. I'm not going to accept... They don't have a case on collusion. They don't have a case on obstruction, which is why they're asking all these cockamamie questions about what do you feel, what do you think. I'm going to walk them into a prosecution for perjury like Martha Stewart did? I mean, she'd tell you they weren't telling the truth. Martha Stewart would tell you that she told the truth, and they set her up.
What happens?
I don't know that. But I don't want to get into that case. I don't know.
Right, but what happens if Robert Mueller subpoenas the president? Will you comply?
Well, we don't have to. He's the president of the United States. We can assert the same privileges other presidents have. President Clinton negotiated a deal in which he didn't admit the effectiveness of the subpoena.
But he did testify. But he did testify before the grand jury. Is the president willing to do that?
But only for 2.5 hours, only with an arranged format. Would we be willing to do that? I'd rather have the Hillary Clinton treatment.
I think President Clinton was before.
But I would rather have the Hillary Clinton.
More than 2.5 hours.
No, he was 2.5 hours in the grand jury. Approximately, maybe 3. We'll take 3. But Hillary Clinton treatment is what I'm looking for. And that is no.
And there we had it. So your thoughts at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, let's start with David in Nampa. David, good morning.
Yes. Does anybody remember Scooter Libby? Remember him? When people said, the woman who wrote the law, okay, here's the law. You expose a CIA officer, and by the way, what's her name, Miller or whatever, she worked at home because she commuted. Okay, anyway, you expose a CIA officer while they're working or 4 years later, it's a crime. The exposure happened 5 years after she stopped working. The woman who wrote the law said there's no crime here. On day one, the prosecutors knew he didn't do it, that it was Richard Armitage, but he's part of the swamp. He's a swamp rat. They said, just give us the vice president, and all this just goes away. And I know Barbara Bush just died, and but last year when she said she vacations with the Clintons, and Bill Clinton is her 4th son, hello, Donald Trump never did 100th of what Bill Clinton's accused of being done. They will create a crime. They don't, they want to undo an election, and it doesn't matter. Scooter Libby, what do they do to this poor guy, what's his name, who just said he'll never work for a Republican? What did they do to, the general who spent $1.5 million and finally, they'll charge you, they'll charge your family, they'll charge you whatever. These people play hardball. And when you hear that Bush 43 voted for Hillary Clinton, I wish I could have been done with that family before. didn't be done, so I could be done with them now. It's a swamp, and if some guy comes in, and the worst thing you can do is get somebody to say, we're going to do it differently. This is a nightmare. This is a witch hunt. You know, and by the way, who's paying Miss Stormy Daniels legal fees? I mean, what is she, a stripper? You know, and a porn actress, she gets $2,000 or $3,000 a film? It's not a lot of money. Who's paying her legal fees? You know, should we check them out? But the swamp won't, because the swamp protects the swamp.
Well,
you know,
it's funny, though, we go back to the Bushes, and it always struck me, and you brought this up, that the Bushes are more comfortable hanging with the libs than they are with conservative Republicans.
Well, yeah, and can I say something about this? Well, payments and campaign funds. Really? Do you want to go send the FEC into schools to find out if kids are getting a balance? Remember about 20 years ago, the Oregon Public School had a circular of hate groups? You know, page 1, you know, neo-Nazis, skinheads, the Klan. Page 2, focus on the family, Christian Coalition, Republican Party. But let me, you know, so maybe we ought to, but this FEC crud, okay, let's say that in Stately Miller Manor, you know, the downstairs maid needs some laundry pods, okay? Does she go to you and say, excuse me, master, I need the laundry pods? No. She goes to the house manager who says, take some money out of petty cash, bring me the receipt. Okay, this $130,000 is go-away money. Okay, it's almost a rounding error for Donald Trump. You know, I mean, seriously, we're going to take out a president because he paid somebody out of one pocket, then out of another pocket? Really? You're going to pay somebody go-away money, and for that we're going to undo the will of 65 million people? Seriously?
Well, you missed it. That's what the most important thing was to Stephanopoulos. David, thank you for the call. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So, you know, President Trump shouldn't testify. Mueller needs to get a life. Comey needs to go sell more books. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is just crazy. And, of course, the aggrieved party, Stormy Daniels, appearing on Saturday Night Live. That's one. Coming up next, though, have you seen some plutonium? I'm not kidding. Apparently some plutonium is missing in the Treasure Valley. Plus, here's some good news about growth. More infrastructure, more taxes. More with Miller next, KIDO Talk Radio.
God, if I were her lawyer, I'd be very upset. Fame and fortune, let me make money. How is she damaged? She's become rich as a result of this. 130,000 doesn't mean anything. Boy, I wish that was my case.
Wish that was my case indeed. Rudy Giuliani on the Stormy Daniels, Robert Mueller, James Comey love triangle. Well, not really, but it sounds good so early in the morning.
The president will not sit down for an interview because this investigation has now reached a level of bad faith. This is no longer a good faith investigation.
Joe DeGenova from Fox News Sunday that you can hear right here at KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM and 580 AM.
I think they're irrelevant. What matters here is that the payment was legal. It was for personal reasons to protect the family. And I think discussion of it serves really no useful purpose in terms of the facts of it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a nothing burger.
It's a nothing burger. What does that have to do with the Russians? What does the adult actress have to do with the Russians? Maybe she worked for the Russians. Doug in Cuna, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Doug.
Good morning, sir. Hey, you know, just like you were saying, what does Stormy Daniels have to do with the Russian collusion? Absolutely zero. And the thing of it is, when they went in and the things that they've done with Manafort and that other guy, Clark, I think his name was, or whatever, that was involved with the campaign, that's all just a crock. They're going to manufacture a charge, no matter what. They're going to get something. And now this deal with raiding Cohen and his apartment and his office and his motel room, all it is to get something on the president. And they have basically eliminated the attorney-client privilege stipulations in the law. Because anything that they find in Cohn's documents, you can bet it's going to come back around and be given to Mueller to try and get something on Trump. And all it is it's basically kind of a turkey shoot. They're going to find something, and they don't really care what it is. They're going to find something, and they're going to try and impeach him.
You would be correct. You would be correct right here.
It's sad that, they let Hillary Clinton off. They didn't even investigate it properly, and they gave everybody and their dog where they can't be held, can't be charged with anything. They were given immunity against anything and everything that they said and what they knew, and that. And then, of course, they don't even, when they interview Hillary, they don't even take notes on it.
Well, dude, look, they gave her the questions in advance. It's just crazy what they're trying to do with Mr. Trump.
Well, yeah, and, the thing of it is, Hillary lied. Who knows how many times she lied? James Comey has lied. And, we don't know how many times he lied. Andrew McCabe did the same thing. And now they're trying to go after Trump, and they're going to try and get him for perjury. It's ridiculous.
It is, Doug. Doug, thank you for the call. It is 6:25. Kevin Miller in the morning, traffic and weather. And Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. So the opening of Saturday Night Live featured Ben Stiller as Michael Cohen, Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump, and the aggrieved person known as Stormy Daniels. And again, remember, this is a person that said she was hurt. She signed this non-disclosure agreement. She took the money. And then all of a sudden now she's appearing on Saturday Night Live. And somehow her career has been hurt by this.
Yes?
And what are you wearing?
Excuse me?
Okay, Michael, I can take it from here.
Okay, but as your attorney, I highly advise against you.
So what up, girl?
Hello, Donald.
Come on.
So we'll have more of this coming up. But again, the cheap gutter attacks against the sitting president, number one. And number two, there's nothing there. What does Stormy Daniels have to do with the Russians? Liberal Steve joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
If you got nothing to worry about and you're not guilty of anything, you shouldn't have to plead the fifth. Shouldn't just go about your daily routine, let them do their investigation, wrap it up, and don't worry about nothing. If you're not guilty of anything, why worry?
Can you remember what you did yesterday at 6 o'clock and then repeat it 75 times?
Absolutely.
Sure. Look, if the government wants to get you...
First you ask the question.
If the government wants to get you, they're going to get you.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? So you don't put yourself in harm's way. Why would you do that?
That's the world we live in today.
That's the world we live in today.
You're such hypocrites out there on both sides. If you're not guilty of anything, Miller, you don't have to go into the confession.
What is he guilty of?
We won't know until the investigation's all over.
Until we make something up.
He may not be guilty of anything. And the Stormy Daniels, that has to do with campaign funds.
So we already know that he hasn't used campaign funds. Thank you, John Edwards. So there's nothing there. We're spending $10 million to derail a president that is bringing peace to North Korea. that is solving the situation in Syria. The economy is revving up, and we're concerned about allegations from a glamour-hogging attorney and an actress in adult films. And we would say it differently. However, this is a family show.
Oh, this is a family show. Say it how you want to say it, Miller. Come on. You're just jealous because they're finding stuff out about your president that you don't want him to be guilty of, and he's going to end up guilty of it.
Guilty of what?
Number one, lying. First, you said he wasn't guilty of being with Stormy.
How about that lying? So here's my favorite. Just like President Obama, he always told the truth, right?
Oh, you keep going
President
back
Obama came up with DACA, which is unconstitutional.
President Obama is not president anymore, Miller. Get over it, would you?
I'm just giving you the pattern.
Billy did this a year ago. Well, Billy's not in this school anymore. He moved on, but you're still here, and you're a naughty boy. Miller, you and your cronies out there are just jealous that they're finding stuff out that I said was there all along. It'll get worse and worse and worse. The guy's a liar, and he shouldn't be there. He's immoral. He's mentally ill.
You would prefer Hillary Clinton.
I'd prefer Mr. Pence.
From Liberal Steve, thank you. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And coming up, much more on the president. Max in Garden City, hang on. First, we go to Jeff Manasso with a Fox Wheels report on your home for Fox News on the radio in the Treasure Valley, KIDO Talk Radio. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin.
So, the latest in wheels and deals.
3D printing technology is set to transform the auto industry, and so GM is betting on this type of technology. You've heard about it, but they're now using it for more efficient and lighter vehicles, with the goal of someday, at some point, Kevin, getting down to zero emissions. It's teamed up with a software tech firm, Autodesk. And to use these generative design tools to help explore different designs that human beings wouldn't really have thought of in terms of traditional designs. And they've done a proof of concept part, taking an 8-part design rear seat bracket on a current model and really consolidated that part into one piece. They made it 40% lighter and 20% stronger. And this is the interesting part. So the technology uses cloud computing, artificial intelligence-based algorithms that compete against human design engineers. And basically, they just type up what they want, a baseline of what they want. They send it up to the cloud. And these algorithms kind of compute this thing and it just generates hundreds of high performance, often organic looking geometric design options, and to come up with these parts. And I asked, I said, so are your engineers so worried that they're going to be out of a job? No, they're going to keep their engineers. But it just goes to show where we're going, with artificial intelligence, and intelligence-based algorithms that really can design, anything from a seat bracket to make it, from 8 parts to 1, lighter, stronger, using multiple different materials, to perhaps an entire a car and other things. And since GM launched these, since 2016, GM has launched about 14 new lighter vehicles, including the 2019 Chevy Silverado, about 450 pounds less than it was in 2015.
Amazing. Still wondering when, maybe not the self-driving car, but, if you want to take a break for a half hour or so, maybe somebody can steer for you. I wonder how long that'll be.
It's coming. It's coming soon, and there are places around the world that are banning. Well, first of all, they're banning gas powered vehicles. So we're going to all electric, but there are places where you're starting to see these vehicles, and not just in Arizona that unfortunately hit a woman during testing a couple of months back, but all over the place where these self-driving vehicles, I mean, they're on our roads. And the thing is, it's like the Tesla. If Tesla wasn't, if the government didn't help fund Tesla, I'm not sure Tesla would be around. But the fact of the matter is the government's putting a lot of money into these types of cars and self-driving type technology. And they believe, the industry believes that that's the future. But, talk to anybody you know. Would you drive? Would you replace your vehicle with one that drives itself? I'm not sure that the market is there, but apparently other people think it at some point it will be.
Jeff Monosso, we always appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Have a great week, Kevin. Thank you.
You too. All right, let's go to Max in Garden City. How about that technology, Max?
Well, I don't know. The idea of a self-driving car is repugnant to me. Call me a control freak, but no matter how effective they are, no matter how well they work, you won't catch me inside of one.
Well, that's reassuring.
I originally called because of liberal moronic Steve.
Ooh.
I can't believe the garbage that comes out of his mouth. I hope he's listening because you know what he sounds like? He sounds like every whining snowflake Democrat I've run into. Not one fact, not one bit of evidence, not even, you're going to bank the president's reputation on a porn star? You can't call her an adult film actress. She's a porn star. It's like calling illegal aliens illegal immigrants. No. My wife is an immigrant. She filled out the papers. She got here after waiting a couple of years. Stormy Daniels isn't an adult film actress. She's a porn star.
A pornographer.
And she has just about as much credibility as NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, Washington Times, Washington Post, New York Times. It all adds up to about zero. Steve, I hope you're listening because I would love to sit down and debate you, Steve, on any topic. You choose it. You choose it.
Oh, we haven't done that in a while.
Your amazing ability to have no facts and just ramble on conjecture makes all of us tired, and maybe, just maybe, somebody like me needs to sit you down and put you in your place. You whiner. Thank you very much for letting me unload there. I'm sure my counselor, my therapist would say, this is good for you.
Thanks, Max. Kevin Miller in the morning here, 580-5436. 580-KIDO. So over the weekend, Saturday Night Live had Stormy Daniels on. We can't play all of it, but we'll play a significant part of it right here with Alec Baldwin playing Donald Trump.
Are you alone?
Yes.
And what are you wearing?
Excuse me?
Okay, Michael, I can take it from here.
Okay, but as your attorney, I highly advise against you.
So what up, girl?
Hello, Donald.
Come on, Stormy, stop making such a big deal about this. Everyone knows it's just an act.
I work in adult films. We're not really known for our acting.
Just tell me, what do you need for this to all go away?
A resignation?
Yeah, right.
See, and there we have it. And I don't know, we're blessed with the First Amendment. We're so blessed to be able to express ourselves. But what happens when the spoken word becomes contaminated? Think about that on your way to work. If we behaved like the liberal, progressive, pugnacious media behaves, would we have a good reputation? Donald Trump here has done things inside and outside of his marriage, right? Is that impeachable? And then we have this, as Max, using Max's term, again, we're a family show, so we're going to let that go. This actress in these films that you can't get on normal television, right? And here we have, she has more credibility in the eyes of the press than the President of the United States, who lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, who is the guy that's bringing the Koreans together, who's getting tough on Russia. This has nothing to do. The Paul Manafort case has nothing to do. By the way, over the weekend, two bad rulings for Mueller and Comey. Basically saying, look, there's no there. And these are federal judges that are saying all you're trying to do, it's as if they were listening to this program, all you're trying to do is get rid of the president. A federal judge has rejected special counsel Robert Mueller's request to delay the first court hearing in a criminal case charging 3 Russian companies and 13 Russian citizens with using social media and other means to foment strife among Americans in advance of the 2016 presidential election. In a brief Saturday evening, U.S. District Court Judge Dabney Friedrich offered no explanation for her decision to deny a request by prosecutors made Friday to put off the scheduled Wednesday arraignment for Concord Management and Consulting, one of the 3 firms charged in the case. Now, like I said, the judges are starting to see through this. You have the judges that were ripped by the judges that ripped Manafort's people saying all you want to do is get the president, right? So where is this? Finally, somebody should just say enough is enough. Well, we can't get rid of Mueller. He's a good boy. Really? So that's one thing we're talking about. Plus the hypocrisy of Stormy Daniels, right? Now, I'm sure Glenn and Sean and Lars, who we'll talk to coming up, will have much more on this. How can you be an aggrieved party if you're going on Saturday Night Live and you're taking your clothes off for money? Tell me how that works with your self-esteem. And finally, coming up, there's some plutonium loose in the city of Boise. We'll tell you about it next. Maybe you'd like to turn it over. Not enough to give the big bomb, but it is enough for a dirty bomb, according to experts. You don't want to miss that story. That's next with me, Kevin Miller, on KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So a small amount of radioactive weapons-grade plutonium, about the size of a quarter, is missing from an Idaho university that was using it for research, leading federal officials on Friday to propose an $8,500 fine. By the way, this is from the Associated Press. Keith Ridler. That's right, Keith Ridler wrote this. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission said Idaho State University can account for about 1/30 of an ounce, 1 gram, of material that's used in nuclear reactors to make nuclear bombs. Now, rest assured, people listening at KIDO Talk Radio to 580 AM and 107.5 FM, the amount is too small to make a nuclear bomb, according to Victor Drix, the spokesperson for the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. But, unfortunately, the size of this plutonium, about a quarter, could be used to make a dirty bomb to spread radioactive contamination. Maybe you watch the show 24, the good one with Jack Bauer, or Homeland, and they're always talking about the dirty bombs. Now, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has very rigorous controls for the use and storage of radioactive materials, as evidenced by this enforcement action. Well, no, if you really had the regulatory controls, you wouldn't lose enough plutonium to make a dirty bomb, right? So here we have it. Now they're blaming the paperwork here. Dr. Cornelius van der Schniff, Vice President of Research, and that's about as close as I'm going to go, at the university, blamed partial completed paperwork from 15 years ago as the school tried to dispose of the plutonium. Now, again, this looks like it was an older story, but they got me with the clickbait. It makes you wonder where and when this plutonium was disposed of, if it was, right? The university, which has 30 days to dispute the proposed fine, reported the plutonium missing on October 13th. The agency said a school employee doing routine inventory discovered the university could not account for 13 of its 14 plutonium sources, each weighing the same amount. Well, that's not good, true believer. So let's hope that something happened to the plutonium and they'll find it. You know, to err is human, to forgive is divine, except when it comes to plutonium. That's something that we really should keep our eyes and ears on. And a fine of only $8,500? That doesn't seem right to me. It should be a little bit more, I would think. And maybe you can't come home until you find the plutonium. It's a pretty serious issue, right? Currently 47 in Star. Traffic and weather together. And Kevin Miller in the morning. It's funny, I was looking at another article and they were saying, hey, there's good news that the smallest city in Ada County, Star, is growing. It's going to create more demands on cleaner air. It's going to allow more demands for public transportation, and people will actually be able to take the bus. Oh, wait a minute, the bus doesn't run out there, so we're going to have to spend more money on public transportation and more infrastructure because we don't want people using cars. And again, I love the progressive slant in the reporting locally here, as it is everywhere. How about building more roads before you put in 3,000 or 5,000 new homes, right? Look, people that run small businesses, they understand how it works. They don't put the cart before the horse. Whether it's CUNA, whether it's Star, are really people going to take public transportation when they can get in their own vehicles at their own convenience? And why do we vilify people that use their cars? Well, that adds more toxins to the roads. It adds more revenue to the coffers. And plus, that's the reason why you live out in the whereabouts, if you will, so you can have more for your money, right? I love this, though. Well, Star, Meridian, CUNA, we're going to get the public transportation going. How's that working out for our public transportation just in the city of Boise? When are we ever going to get rid of this backward thinking and get some real-life proactive thinking when it comes to how to run things, right? If only they'd listen to you, which I do every weekday. Kevin Miller on 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Collectively, we like to call it KIDO Talk Radio, your home for Fox News on the radio.